There's definitely something going on with Kevin McCarthy. It's as if he's received a software upgrade or something. I think you're going to like it. The somewhat contentious Speaker of the House, who faced down a conservative revolt during his confirmation, has, unlike many others before him, been keeping his promises so far. And that includes kicking Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff off of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. This, of course, is causing the left, and especially the leftist media, to lose their minds. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries initially reappointed the controversial Democrats to the committee, demanding McCarthy bend the knee while ignoring the consequences of Nancy Pelosi's tyrannical reign. To his credit, the new speaker told Jeffries to kick rocks. Naturally, that has the press raving mad, mostly because Schiff is a main source of leaks, and one sneaky reporter decided to try to tie the situation to George Santos. Because the current Congress apparently revolves around a no-name freshman whose committee assignments are the equivalent of flipping burgers for McDonald's. You have to listen pretty carefully to hear exactly what the reporter's saying, but the gist of her assertion is that it's hypocritical to put Santos on any committee while keeping Schiff and Swalwell off of a specific committee. McCarthy pretty much absolutely levels her from start to finish. Here's the clip.
Intel committee. Is Santos on the Intel committee? Am I allowing Schiff to be on other committees? Go right ahead.
Respectfully, thank you. Because you have direct power over who goes on the intelligence committee, you also will be able to raise for your full House, taking off other Democrats, perhaps Representative Omar. But you said that lying to us is something that means you should be removed from the intelligence committee. But why is it not a factor?
Well, let me be very.
This is a man who should not be on committee, something you do have power over.
He's got elected by his district. So.
Answer my question. Why is lying?
Okay. Let me be very clear and respectful to you. You ask me a question. When I answer it, it's the answer to your question. You don't get to determine whether I answer your question or not, okay? In all respect. Thank you. No. Let's answer her question. You just raised a question. I'm going to be very clear with you. The Intel Committee is different. You know why? Because what happens in the Intel Committee, you don't know. What happens in the Intel Committee, although the secrets are going on in the world, other members of Congress don't know. What did Adam Schiff do as the chairman of the Intel Committee? What Adam Schiff did, use his power as a chairman and lie to the American public. Even the Inspector General said it. When Devin Nunes put out a memo, he said it was false. When we had a laptop, he used it before an election to be politics and say that it was false and said it was the Russians. When he knew different, when he knew the intel, if you talk to John Radcliffe, DNI, he came out ahead of time and says there's no intel to prove that, and he used his position as chairman, knowing he has information the rest of America does not, and lied to the American public. When a whistleblower came forward, he said he did not know the individual, even though his staff had met with him and set it up. So no, he does not have a right to sit on that. But I will not be like Democrats and play politics with these, where they removed Republicans from committees and all committees. So yes, he can serve on a committee, but he will not serve on Intel, because it goes to the national security of America. And I will always put them first, all right? And if you want to talk about Swalwell, let's talk about Swalwell, because you have not had the briefing that I had. I had the briefing, and Nancy Pelosi had the briefing from the FBI. The FBI never came before this Congress to tell the leadership of this Congress that Eric Swalwell had a problem with a Chinese spy until he served on Intel. So it wasn't just us who were concerned about it. The FBI was concerned about putting a member of Congress on the Intel Committee that has the rights to see things that others don't because of his knowledge and relationship with a Chinese spy. They brought it to the works of the leaders. I've got that briefing. So I do not believe he should sit on that committee. And I believe there's 200 other Democrats that can serve on that committee. So this has nothing to do with Santos. Santos is not on the Intel Committee. But you know what? Those voters elected Schiff, even though he lied. Those voters elected Swalwell, even though he lied to the American public too. So you know what? I'll respect his voters too, and they'll serve on committees. But they will not serve on a place that has national security relevance, because integrity matters to me. That's the answer to your question.
This ditzy little DC bubble-dwelling reporter must have had a few extra helpings of avocado toast before showing up because she was bursting with energy, and not in a good way. She interrupted McCarthy the moment he began to answer her question, accusing him of not answering her question. He hadn't even gotten a sentence out yet. And that's when McCarthy, well, let's just say he went full on Trump. He said, quote, "Let me be clear and respectful to you. You ask me a question. When I answer it, it's the answer to your question. You don't get to determine whether I answer your question or not," unquote. Okay, so now at this point, the press corps gets all loud, kind of like a coop full of chickens, appearing to believe he's moving on to the next reporter. But he says, no, let's answer her question. McCarthy said, quote, "The Intel Committee is different. You know why? Because what happens in the Intel Committee, you don't know. What happens in the Intel Committee, the secrets going on in the world. Other members of Congress don't know. What did Schiff do as the chairman of the Intel Committee? What Adam Schiff did was use his powers as the chairman to lie to the American public. Even the Inspector General said it," unquote. He kept the old flamethrower fired up from there, telling the reporter that she hasn't gotten the briefings on Swalwell that he and Pelosi got, noting that the FBI came forward to warn about Swalwell's problems with a Chinese spy. Old Fang Fang. McCarthy then stated, quote, "This has nothing to do with Santos because Santos is not being put on the Intel Committee." Now, folks, as far as I'm concerned, nothing's really changed with Kevin McCarthy. I trust him about as far as I can throw him. But at the same time, when the man says and does what he said he was going to do, then we ought to appreciate that at least a little bit. Now, would Mitch McConnell have ever given that kind of response to a reporter trying to play partisan politics? I think we all know the answer to that. It's fairly obvious. Now, whatever one thought of McCarthy before, at this moment, he's showing the kind of killer instinct that Republican voters have been begging for. So let's just hope he keeps it up. Sorry to cut this daily video short, but I'm going to have a second video posted over on Rumble and Bitchute that's a little bit too spicy for YouTube. So be sure to check that out. There'll be a link in the description box. Some of this came by way of redstate.com. If you liked it, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment down below. There's a PayPal link in the description box, so please put $1 in the bucket on the way out the door. I'd like to thank everyone for all your donations. They're much needed and much appreciated. Now, with all that being said, we'll see you next time.
Come on, move. Move. Easy, easy.